Forge beta out November 8th, along with the winter update. Huge priority. I mean, the whole studio is vibrating with excitement to see what all you start to create.
It's coming, and now we have a date, right? But
yep.
It is safe to say exponentially more powerful than any Forge we've ever released, is my understanding. In fact, I gotta look at my notes here, but for context, I didn't realize this, but Halo 5's Forge was no slouch either, and I believe the maximum object count was about 1,600. Halo Infinite supports upwards of 7,000 objects. So the things that you can do now are greater than ever. Yeah. We also have some images we'll show, some of the beauty corners, some of the improvements to lighting that we've seen. Yeah. The bar between a sort of a 343 crafted experience and a Forge experience is closer than it's ever been.
Oh, for sure. And you can see in these beauty images the work that we've done internally to show off some of the potential. But looking at all the work that's already been done by the community, you can just see, like you said, it's exponentially more powerful.
Infinite Forges did something amazing once again, and this is his take on a desert environment. I love the dust particles. I love the attention to detail here, as well as the birds. I don't know if that's a particle in game. I don't think it is. That might be post-edited, but the trees is really the thing that got me here. These trees are not default models in the game, but these are skewed and changed a bunch. I think they're a combination of about 10 tree models that are placed together creatively like this. So it just goes to show that set dressing is really up to us. There are so many new models that look beautiful on their own, but when you remix them and put them together, you can really create brand new things that 343 never thought that we would make them with, right? Unique, the guy that created Guardian from Halo 3 and Infinite's Forge, is now working on Foundry. And what's really incredible about this is that he's getting the crates in there, he's getting the wall pieces looking just like they did from Halo 3. And this is incredible. I can't wait to remix this map myself, hoping that it actually does run in the beta. And it's just, he's actually building the exterior of the map, which is totally unnecessary, but totally welcomed. And I've always wanted to get out of this map, so it's really cool to see it built upon. And he even got the crane in there. That's just incredible. I love this. Now, someone made a comparison between Halo 5's Forge back in 2015 and Halo Infinite's Forge that is coming out this year. So on the right, obviously the map looks a lot better. This is the map that the Forge Council member made, and I think it's actually a remake from Halo 5's version, which we can see on the left, but obviously looks way better on the right. And if we weren't told, we would probably think that Infinite's Forge here is actually DevTools. In fact, we just learned in the live stream that a lot of the tools that we have in Forge is directly derived from the tool set that the developers have themselves to build actual maps, and that 343 plans to build upon Forge.
Also, the team pointed out each of the canvases, which we'll have, a couple of those we're taking a look at right now, variety of sort of biomes and aesthetics. They're about 2 times larger than prior canvases on average.
Yep.
And then, we've got really cool, exciting features, object scaling, which sounds like not a big deal, but keep in mind in the old Forge, you'd have to have, if you wanted to have different size blocks, you'd have to ship a fixed size of each block.
That's right.
Swelling that up, that footprint becomes massive. Now I could have one block and I can infinitely scale it to any dimension I want to, essentially, right?
Yeah, yeah. And just that feature alone, it seems so small or simple when you talk about it, but just looking at the work the community has already done to take the primitives that we have, to take the objects and reconfigure them into things that we never imagined that people would reconfigure them into just through object scaling. It just unlocks a whole bunch of creative potential and fun. So it's been great to see.
343 Industries has surprised me with this one. Joseph Staten, as well as other key figures at 343 Industries, has come out to voice not their anger or disappointment that the community has exploited Halo Infinite broken into Forge in the recent co-op build, but has actually admitted that they are energized and inspired and happy. Joseph Staten said this early Forge work is so exciting and energizing. The actual launch of Forge is going to be a game changer. Speaking for the Halo team, we can't wait to see what you all create. What you've been watching so far is actually Matt by Infinite Forges, one of his latest creations. He said this: "What's funny is that the Forge content you've all seen doesn't even begin to scratch the surface. I'm so excited for all the wild creations." And he's right. I've actually got into Forge myself, and with just about an hour and a half I made this. It's a small part of a big team battle map concept and theme that I'm going for that I would be very excited to make in the beta version once Forge does drop. Just the other day, if you missed it, Chris Howard, the pipeline engineer for 343, said, "I'm not going to lie. Watching all these leaked Forge videos exploring the max number of static objects he can place specifically gives me life," regarding probably Duquesne's video where he basically pushes Forge to the absolute limits and it still runs at 54 frames per second minimum. I can declare from first-hand experience that Forge is out of this world, and mark my words, when the Forge beta drops, content is going to be ripping and roaring. It's not ideal, I rather 343 do it and do it right, but Infection, Griffball, Assault, VIP, all these modes are possible in Forge.
I didn't expect to see somebody object scale a torso of a Spartan. I'm not sure if you've seen the giant torsos
Yes.
with the tiny legs, but I want to play that experience, whatever that is, right?
Yeah.
Also, we have things like node graph scripting. It's a little bit too deep for us to go into today, but safe to say it's a visual, incredibly powerful tool that allows people to script experiences, gameplay rules. I've seen some cool stuff on people combining weapon types together, and that's going to be a game changer as well.
Yeah, and don't forget that we also are shipping NavMesh support for Forge. So what that means is all the bots will be able to navigate through these levels for testing as well as for play, and that's also really, really exciting.
343 answered a fan's question about at some point being able to create something like Firefight in Forge. This was on late October, Halo World Championship in Seattle. They said this, all right, the campaign AI question in Forge that is top of mind. Obviously, I can't talk about it much. We've all heard that. We've heard the message loud and clear, says Forge Lord, the head of Forge. Like in Halo 5, when people figured out how drop bots in their Forge, and they're like, idiots, we've got AI in here. And I was like, that's a turret because it doesn't move. And then so they moved on to talk about how 343 is going to be building things up over the time, and that in this hypothetical thing, Firefight could come to Forge down the line, but adding AI in Forge is top of mind. So they've heard us, and they're thinking about it.
Starting with Argyle, this is a larger footprint 4v4 arena map that's really meant to support stealthy play styles. It's got this cool cathedral ceiling, bases have these diving boards, and we have dual grapple shot spawns at each base. And the hope here is that we're really going to set up some fun, heroic super plays, some nice grapple shot swinging across the map. There are also dual sniper spawns to set up some really fun sniping battles. And although this might look a little bit like Epitaph from Halo 3, it's not a remake of Epitaph, though the Forerunner art style is a little bit similar. Detachment, our second map for the winter update. CTF really heavily influenced the design for this map. Contains a lot of really unique and emergent flag routes. We have a combination of a repulsor and a grapple shot spawn, and what that opens up is some really interesting routes that you really can't do just on foot. There's a teleporter in Detachment. I believe the first teleporter in a Halo Infinite map. Really adds some cool power plays and opens up other routes. And it's got an island in this map. We call it the Island of Power. It's where the power weapons spawn. It's accessible through gravity launchers and the teleporter, but it's really this hotly contested, really fun power point in the map. These are playing great. We're playtesting them a lot. They look beautiful. You can really see how well the new lighting shows up in Forge. They sound awesome too.
And Sean, both these maps will be live in matchmaking.
In matchmaking.
On November 8th.
Yeah, I mean, it's really impressive what we can do with Forge and what Forge is going to enable the community.
Unfortunately, it seems that Custom Games Browser will not be launching with Forge based on this current roadmap, which does make me concerned that all of this is going to be kind of stifled, that Forge and it kind of reviving this game to some degree is going to be ruined because people won't be able to share and create and evolve based off each other. So I don't know, but anyway, I'm pretty excited for Forge. I'm pretty excited for this new mode. The multiplayer maps that are coming on launch day on November 8th for season, or what I guess is winter update, rather, it's not season 3, but are looking pretty nice. I cannot believe this was made in Forge. This looks incredible, and I guess 343 has kind of just abandoned their dev tools because it takes too long, and I guess it's easier to make maps this way, but still, we're only getting 4 maps in a whole year, and 2 of them are Forge maps. The big team battle maps are not coming until 2023 in March 7th. Phenomenal. Red Nomster created a side-scroller in Halo Infinite's Forge. This is pretty much the most insane thing I've seen scripting-wise. And the crazy thing is that he went into the scripting engine and scripted this entirely new game playable in Halo Infinite, right? Now, we've looked at a lot of awesome creations, but the reason why I'm most excited for this is that this is a working drop pod in Halo Infinite's Forge that you can actually get inside of and crash down in the landscape below. So far, I haven't seen anyone else actually accomplish this, but not only that, this is a prototype and concept for Battle Royale. Now, there's been a lot of discussion about that for a long time, and obviously Halo Infinite didn't launch with Battle Royale, but we do know that there is 24 players per match that you can have in custom games. So why that isn't as many as like 100, it's still a good amount for Battle Royale. But also, we do know that Forge is coming, obviously on November 8th, and that has huge implications. We already know that infection is possible, things like assault and tons of new equipment items are actually all possible throughout the node graph system, which is basically scripting, right? So Battle Royale technically is coming in November this year. The creator went a little bit minimalistic on the ODST drop pods because of course there's got to be 24 of these things that crash down, and hopefully he is able to figure out how to specific locations or maybe even predestined locations. As long as it's random, it'll be really fun, and hopefully he can get the hatch to pop off just like in the games, if not even just maybe disappear. Watch this. This just makes me so happy inside. So this is the last video of 343's 4-part series where they show off Forge. This time they talk about file management, which I know it does sound boring, but ultimately it does give us a lot of comprehensive features and information as part of adding collaborators, adding protection, adding credits, adding all kinds of like a whole ecosystem that we really need for Forge to take off at launch. So yes, they show off 4 of these canvases. I think we might be getting more. I don't know if that was confirmed or not. I don't think it has been. I've heard that we're actually getting like 8 or 9, but honestly, at least we have the blank canvas, and for all these maps, you can actually make it look like day or nighttime using the map features. So don't worry about the lighting and what it looks like in the skybox, because that can totally change. It is all dynamic. And one map that I'm particularly excited for is the Void canvas, because this looks a lot like Sandbox's skybox. It just looks absolutely beautiful, and I feel like, you know, this is exactly what fans want. It's not very outer spacey, and it's just going to be a great place to forge on. So yeah, they talk about in depth that basically you can save maps, and they actually, every time you save it, it saves as a version, and every 30 days these versions will be deleted unless you lock them. I wholeheartedly believe that Forge has the possibility of not only reviving Halo, but bringing it the prosperity that we need. If 343 could handle the back-end stuff, just let the community take the tools and run with it. And that is exactly what they are giving us. If you want to go back and restore a certain version, I mean, and I get that a lot of people are skeptical about this game and its future, but I still feel the same about Forge. I hope that custom games is addressed. It is disheartening that custom games and theater hasn't really been addressed to us fans yet. Like, hey, is that going to be fixed? Is that going to be polished like the way that we need it to be for all this to really shine? And it just hasn't been mentioned, as if it's a non-issue. So I hope that 343 actually brings that up. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe they have brought it up, but I just haven't seen it in the past year. But regardless, we are coming up on a 1-year launch of this game, guys. And we got to be thinking about like, hey, is Forge actually going to save it? Because it's essentially 343's last card. They also have the Tatanka mode that is coming, that Certain Affinity is developing, that actually is probably most likely going to be in Slipspace Engine and not Unreal Engine. Rather, Halo 7 is going to be in Unreal Engine. But when you go to the community tab on Halo Infinite after this update, after the winter update, I believe that these tabs are going to be here: recommended, popular modes, popular prefabs. So all we really need is this ecosystem that will support, you know, all the cool creations that people are going to be making. This is a 1-to-1 scale of Halo 3's iconic map of Guardian, and man, is this thing impressive. And this thing is just astonishing for many reasons. I am just impressed, for one, that he got the scaling pretty much 1-to-1. There are so many little details that he went in here, added like vines coming down from the tops, and added these little corridors, even this iconic little room here with the grav lift. Let's see how it works. Perfect, pretty much perfect. From what I remember, I think it was that was pushing him a little bit too high, but still, I love that he added the fusion coils here, and this room is just amazing. Even added the galaxy up there. I vaguely remember that in the original. And this corridor here, I mean, so yes, Unique is someone that should be insanely proud of their work. There is one thing to keep in mind that Unique said in a stream, from what I can remember, is that he said since player movement is about 40% faster in Halo Infinite than Halo 3's, then this map is not going to play very well on 4v4. It's going to be a little bit cluttered because essentially the map is going to be smaller here. But it's going to be a really great 2v2 map, and I am super excited to play this. I think he's going to remake it in the Forge beta. Someone recreated a classic Call of Duty zombie map in Forge. This is absolutely mind-blowing. It really demonstrates the power of Forge. Look at the lighting, look at the fog, look at all the high-fidelity models all over the map, including the rubble, the screens, the walls, and this is before baked lighting. And also, a lot of respect for Infinite Forges for making this, because he can't save this. This is quite phenomenal, and I'm just blown away. This was created within 3 hours from NVS, and he has essentially recreated Warlock from Halo 2. There are some gameplay changes, and I think maybe it might fit better for Halo Infinite's gameplay with sprint and all the armor abilities, perhaps. I don't know. All we see is just the creation process, no gameplay. But I love the aesthetics, and I love how it's convincing. If you want to see what 15% of the Forge budget looks like, look at Karma Plexus map. He made an interior, which is convincing, right? This is before baked and dynamic lighting. Currently, those who have access to Forge cannot render their lighting, which means the lighting is not final. It isn't baked, it isn't dynamic yet, or whatever the hell you want to call it. It's gonna look better than this. He built a whole city alley here, and I just love all the effects and particles, and my gosh, is there just so much to get excited about here. One big problem I have with Halo Infinite is the lack of diversity when it comes to maps. And so something JJ actually got onto high power and created the first desert map that I've seen on Forge. And yes, it's lots of rock models sized up here, but still it gives us a good idea as to how beautiful desert maps are in this game, and what's really lacking is going to be filled up with Forge maps, right? One thing I've noticed so far is that all these Forge maps all kind of have an atmosphere to them. Maybe not so much this one, but regardless, I love how much detail you can add into these maps, and really these are people just getting started. And Infinite Forges created this map on Deadlock, which really takes advantage of the debris and the lights and volumetrics available already in Forge, and it is beautiful, man. I love this part where he gets in a Warthog and drives through this huge destroyed hallway of sorts, right? This huge shaft. The debris is so convincing. I mean, I'm just drooling thinking about all the possibilities for my own maps here. 343 really nailed it with the particles available to us. I don't know if they just ripped them from the campaign or made these themselves straight up, but these are some insane tools. It just looks like a kid's room, and man, is it just so darn detailed. He probably spent many hours just creating this small room. There's even a PlayStation 1 right there. And I haven't even seen this yet. This is so freaking cool. You got a bunk bed, got the Pokemon rug. I mean, and you got even light coming in. I mean, do y'all see those light rays pouring in? That is so impressive. And oh, I have not seen this before. I don't know what's going on here. He said he made a pallet town for Pokemon. Okay, so I'm out of the loop. I'm not a huge Pokemon fan, but... So Zmod shows us a couple new equipment items in Halo Infinite. One is called the Gravity Burst and the Stasis Field equipment. He says that he decided to check on the equipment he leaked a couple weeks ago and found out that they have better models and better effects. So the first one is really cool. It looks like he just shoots this thing out and then it makes whatever objects fly up. This could be really great for screwing over land vehicles that are driving around like a warthog, you know, or even a tank. I think that would be hilarious to shoot this at a tank. When I first saw this, I thought this was actually just a Forge script, like a custom equipment, because we've seen people do that, like the jump pad. And then there's also the stasis field, which could be really powerful for clustering a group of enemy players together, and then chunking a grenade in that could be really detrimental to that team's efforts or whatever they're doing. But shooting it at crates is just so fun to watch regardless. I'm happy with this just being a Forge thing. Now, if you remember Red Nomster, he was the one that created the high detailed cyberpunk noir mystery detective room. He created an underwater exploration scene in Forge. Everything here is from the game itself, including the sea glider, he says, like from Subnautica. And we have animated, quote, fish and plants, foreigner relics, a wrecked submarine, and from what we've seen from leaked Forge files, it looks like we're going to have an underwater Forge map, just like in Halo 5 Guardians Forge. Now, for y'all Overwatch fans out there, y'all might really like this one. Someone actually recreated the ultimate ability of one of the characters in Overwatch, and it works pretty much the same way. I'm not super familiar with this character, but man, I love how they called it Gravity Bomb. Honestly, I could see this in Halo Infinite Sandbox as a real thing, like a gravity grenade. And it's kind of in theme with these other creations that we've seen. And it seems like 343 with the stasis equipment is already on it. So I would love to see something like this. I think it would be really powerful against vehicles. It could cause some shenanigans. And that's what Halo Infinite and Halo is all about, is a wacky sandbox. And this is incredible news. So 343 Industries just released part 2 of the Forge Fundamentals, in which they explained the script noting system and also the bots and nav meshes, and this is quite incredible. So technically we've already known a lot of this, but what really threw me off for a loop was like how nav meshes, where bots are going to be able to transverse our Forge maps, and how these are actually programmed into Forge maps is done through automation. Now, I didn't know it was going to be done this way. We can see from the first part was that you can actually build lighting and reflection volumes, but also nav meshes. And so nav meshes are going to basically show of bots and AI, hopefully at some point, like banished AI, elites and stuff, will just be model replacements of the normal bots and be able to run around our Forge maps. So in some sense, we can create campaign or firefight maps that would just be awesome. Not to mention that infection is something that you can make in Forge. It's not ideal, but it does work. And also people can make zombie maps. The thing that I am worried about is, can we get these bots programmed in the way that we want them to behave on certain more abstract game modes, such as Monster Truck, where the objective is not to necessarily kill other players directly, but to push them off the map into a death zone. Anyway, they showed off gameplay of this Forge map with working nav meshes, so the AI do understand where to crouch, where to jump, where they can jump, where they should jump, and just understanding where to run around, what the sight lines are. And that's just really exciting that this is done, by the way, directly with DevTools. That was confirmed in this video that these tools are pretty much ripped directly from the Slipspace engine, and you can actually have these things place down nav cutters that block automation of the nav mesh creation, so bots know where not to go. Now, this is unfinished lighting, so I am looking forward to seeing how it is done. Now, a cool thing they showed off was how you can actually add pop-ups just like from the campaign. Since this is from the DevTools, there's a lot of assets here from the campaign. This was by Zmods. This one's got to be the most mind-blowing. He created a black hole weapon and a white hole weapon. So how this works is it just brings everything into these black holes, and then when he shoots a white hole, it spits all these objects out that it sucked up, and then it just blows up everywhere. So funny. He even gets hit by his own his own debris that he sucked up. Look at that. Boom. These are all objects that are going to be interacting with the world and the physics. I mean, it's working. It's not crashing the game. The physics are behaving as they should be for the most part. This one feels like it should not be possible in Forge, but it is. This is Squid Game's the first mission, the red light, green light, and this is how it works. You spawn, and then you got a yellow light very briefly, red light, don't move, and then you just hold green light, run, 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 run. Pause. Oh, he dies. And I can't imagine the lobby. People are screaming probably, you know, playing this with 24 players. You get caught, you're still gonna die. Elite Falcon got onto Behemoth, the desert map, and created this. Look at all these plants. I want it to be the new standard that these forgers that are leaking stuff to show their budgets, because I want to know how much of the budget did this take up, because I feel like this could be a good size of a custom map. He says this took him 2 hours to make, which is impressive for one, but man, I love those god rays. Look at this, the map isn't even recognizable anymore. I'm excited to see the final lighting on this too. And since these creators can now save their maps, I would really love to play on this one. This one has left me speechless. So Artifice created a menu in Forge, and so how I think it works is that he has an equipment on hand that he created with the script, and that only his camera teleports to this box in which he can move around and click on these different options here. I mean, is that not stupidly impressive? We also have a pretty cool demonstration by Cryptum in which he knocks down a door there, and then he breaches this door with his gravity hammer. He just starts busting it down, and maybe it could look better, but this is really cool stuff. It makes me think about Fat Kid, it makes me think about zombies, Faction, and all the possibilities with just, you know, zombies breaking down doors. Elite Falcon made Ascension from Call of Duty, and is this absolutely insane or what? I love the atmosphere, I love the dead bodies, and I love those control panels there too. That's just, I've seen those on a lot of Forge maps so far, and they just look high fidelity, right? I want to show off another map by Infinite Forges. This one's pretty interesting, and there's actually Marines on the wall, really thinking outside the box here. Really interesting, really creepy. I mean, this map isn't even recognizable anymore. There's just so much going on here. If you're a fan of, oh my gosh, I did not see the whole thing, and thus I have not seen this. That is really cool. That is really cool. Death Templar created Maintenance Shop in Forge, and I love the materials used in this one. I love the hallways. It doesn't even look like a Forge map. I think the lighting, it could be a little bit better. I think the walls could have a little bit more detail, but look at this. There's vending machines there. There's also like a little refrigerator thing that he looks at, a microwave. Okay, a freaking microwave, which I'm pretty sure he created by hand. You know, that wasn't like a pre-made object he just put down. That was a Forge created asset there. Dan Bridley Art has this massive node script that he created, and to put it simply, it's Frogger. Okay, so he's gonna try to run across the street and avoid all these cars, and it looks doable, but I bet this could be, and I think this is actually a possibility in Halo 5's Forge, but I love the car wreck at the end. He shows what happens if you get hit by one of these moving Forge objects, and you'll see it. Boom! I also wanted to show this one. I love the rocks, I love the snow effects, and this is Kratos' home from God of War. Yeah, it could be worked on a little bit more and fleshed out, but still really goes to show the atmosphere that you can do and achieve in Forge. I wanted to share this real quick. Unique created this Alpine remix nighttime version of High Ground from Halo 3. I love these remixes so much, but here is the supercut. Enjoy.
Yeah, so you kind of went campaign, your specialty in lighting, and your love for Forge, and you kind of combined it all to make this?
Yeah, exactly. So we can adjust the sun, and you can see as the sun's going up in the air, you can see our shadows getting much like, shorter. It's going up to being like a noontime right now. Yeah.
So adjustable time of day.
Exactly, adjustable time of day. Sun reacts, or the sky reacts like where the sun's going to be. So if it's really low in the ground or like to the horizon, you're going to see like this nice gradient going from like the orange all the way to the bluish black sky. So right now we have like a very bluish sky. And what if we want to make it like green or something? Well, now we can have a green sky. We can adjust the intensity as well, so it's more of a vibrant color. And we have a light that's kind of brighten up the environment. We'll go into map settings. All the way down the fog area, you'll see this volumetric setting called enable. Set that on, and now you can see your lights are casting this type of fog. We'll angle it over, so we're kind of like casting on top of it. But if we go into that light, set it to cast shadows on, there's your shadow right away, which is really cool. Default cube maps are just think of it as like taking a picture in an area and then slapping it on objects and saying that's your reflection you're going to use.
Making a map really, really dark was a feature request, right?
Oh, absolutely.
It's a giant step up from Halo 5.
I've
Yeah?
seen.
It's going to pick up everything else, and now everything else is pitch black. Go back to cam mode, and we can see our Spartan is actually pitch black right now. There's
Yeah.
no indirect lighting to kind of like pop him out. He's not in the light at all.
You want them to be blue because they're methane or something like that. I don't know.
Get a
Like,
a
just-
nice covenant.
And it's called display light probes. Now you can kind of see like these little spheres that are around the map.
And this pretty much shows how light is being cast throughout the map.
Yeah, like a cool ambient tone, how we go from like pitch black to having like some cool ambient tones.
Check out this feature. This is made by Infinite Forges. Look at this revamping of an existing dev map. This is before baked lighting, because right now those who have access to this build are not able to render the lighting properly. So it looks a little flat, but even then, moments in this video like this here look incredible. The hype is really high for Halo Infinite right now, and it's no wonder, because Forge might be exactly what this game needs to make a comeback. Sacred Icon from Halo 2 was remade in Halo Infinite's Forge, and my golly, this one looks even more legit than the last. This looks like a part cut from the campaign itself. Guys, this map isn't even necessarily cleaned up a whole lot. I could see how objects could be placed a little bit better here and there, and it still looks legit, and this is before baked lighting. And remember, the roadmap said that we were going to get a Forge beta in September in Season 2, so we have a lot to look forward to, because that is only next month. I wanted to show this one too. Cryptum made a prototype of OUTDONE and had some gameplay to go with it, which we really haven't seen a whole lot of. This is exciting because the lighting looks pretty rough and flat in this. It does show the potential that maps do look pretty legit, like the fidelity on these Forge objects actually hold up despite being scaled up. Decane23 reminded us that Forge is extremely powerful, and us having access to it means a lot of great things, and even something as simple as just adding one gravity lift can change the flow of maps that we've been playing all year and have big implications for gameplay in the future, especially in matchmaking.
Wanted to take a look at a map some community members were working on in our Forge Council flight. We've got a Warthog, a truck. What are we looking at?
So Nitro and Mythical Fritz have been working on this map. They want to make a really dark map, which I think is awesome to see. And then if you start looking up in these trees, you'll start to see they're getting a little bit of this moonshine and nice like rays coming through.
Oh yeah.
These rays are coming from light cone, which gives you a really cool depth to your atmosphere. The moon's really cool and very creative how they did it. They just made a primitive sphere, made it white, and then used the grunge, kind of like we showed off a little bit earlier. But
Now you can turn off audio. You can go into your ambient sounds in the map options, and you can, I can believe you set this to default, which will be no sound at all. And the gurgling water. I don't know. So lots of options here to really make an experience that you want to,
You can script audio too, right?
you can.
So my big worry about all this is that we heard from a while ago that there's going to be a catch when Forge and custom games drops. I don't know if that is legit. I think that came from Sean W. But with that being said, I'm only worried that custom games are not going to be, polished in the winter update on November 8th. I mean, I can't believe it, but we are just about 1 month away from Forge and co-op releasing, as well as these other things. And I get that, yes, Halo Infinite is in a rough spot, but I can't help but be excited about this. I think it's okay to be excited about this and to also understand that this game is kind of in a rough spot right now, to say the least. But with that being said, I'm excited to play the pit map and also the other maps too. Red Nomster has put so much thought into making this a actually playable map. Most of what you see here has actually been created by primitive objects, so it's not like things that he just scaled up. Like, this is Andy's room from Toy Story, created by scratch pretty much. We also have a lot of objects, specifically the books, that are actually just scaled up Forge objects, just single objects. The cool thing that I discovered in this video that I didn't know before was that the hitboxes that 343 made on these objects are wonderfully made. So yeah, you can actually get up on these books, you can shoot through them. They are exactly the way you would want them to behave if you were to scale them up or down. So good work on 343's part here. So one of the coolest things in this video is the belt on the dresser, and what happens when you walk up to the belt, you can press X to activate, and then it creates this scripted sequence where it moves your Spartan climbing up the belt to get on the very top of the dresser. Now, you're exposed to pretty much the entire map, but it works every time. Now, I just want you to think about it for a moment, all the possibilities here with custom games. Oh my gosh, imagine launching that. It's going to be so much fun. Think about all the different types of modes, especially with Infection. Derek Creates showed us that chopping trees and having a farm mini game mode in Halo Infinite will be possible. It's rather advanced. There is a lot of scripting here. And I doubt most of y'all are going to be interested in doing this yourself, but regardless, is this a resource for creators that are going to create some really amazing stuff. And Elite Falcon also created this map in Forge, which, it's nothing super special, but it just shows the fidelity and the ability to make maps like truly your own from scratch. I mean, it's truly your sandbox. You can do really anything you set your imagination to. K23 actually in his description said that he had permission to showcase the leaked build. He reveals all the materials in Halo Infinite's Forge, and so you can switch regions, you can add scratches, you can add overlay textures, so you can actually blend textures together, effectively adding thousands of combinations. If that doesn't excite you, I don't know what would. What we saw earlier in this video, like with the Sacred Icon, maps can look like dev maps now. And we're just getting started. Kane23 also said in one of his recent videos that his race car map only took up about 2% of the budget, 2 or 3% of the budget, which is quite incredible because he covered the entire map of Behemoth with terrain and a whole raceway. So yeah, you can do a lot. I feel like this budget is got to be 6, 7, 8 times larger than any budgets we've ever got. Decane23 also showcased that you can, of course, change the size of vehicles, including making them almost the size of an ant on screen. He's flying around right here, and you can't even see the vehicle anymore. You can see the Spartan flying through the sky, but yeah. Now, a lot of us are aware of the tools, generally speaking, maybe not all the nodes because there's hundreds of them, but what I'm excited for is for what the community is going to create, because someone just created a boss fight with these tools, with the exploit version of Forge. We also learned in the official video that you can change weapons and their projectiles, and it made me think of a game mode, maybe Ultra Fiesta, where we have random weapons at each spawn, but they shoot random projectiles, which I'm sure is possible and would be kind of insane to play. Now, is this enough to save Halo Infinite and the population? Not unless 343 does some major reworking and moving forward and some innovations, but it is something I think worth talking about because, boy, Forge and the community, just I love what people are making out here. So this is a game mode made inside of Forge's unique and new node scripting system. This is an entirely functioning, for the most part, Infection game mode, right? So the player, he runs around, he has these bots, which is really cool that bots are working. I don't know how, but yeah, so they're running around, they're trying to infect him, and eventually he showcases how it looks when he gets infected. He just got hit, and now he spawns with an energy sword. He is now on the other team. And it's just amazing to me that this is possible at all. This confirms it, by the way. I thought that it was probably going to be possible, but this confirms that maybe anything is possible, bringing back all the game modes that we want in Halo Infinite, like Assault and Griffball and all these wonderful modes that we miss from Halo, VIP even. I love VIP so much. It's kind of an underrated one, but Infection is one that is very fundamental for custom games and Forge just because of the way it works. And also, it's really fun. I'm hearing that it's going to be coming here on day one when Forge releases. So Artifice says that a few things like the radar could be adjusted, and currently things are a bit tedious to get working the right way with this current build, but hopefully when the beta drops, it will be working very well and functional. So Zmod is at it again here. He creates a simple puzzle where you have to put a blue block on a blue platform and so forth to open a door. And if it's removed, the door will go back up. He actually goes into a little bit more of a complicated demonstration here where you have to jump up and grab it and then throw it over a door and get them all matching and stuff. So on Derek Creates video, he flies around, and I just love this because it shows how beautiful the terrain can be, the fidelity of it, and how well it blends in. Now, this is on top of Behemoth, and a lot of these objects are stretched to all hell, but still, it looks like a map editor a little bit, like a modding tool. To think about the possibilities here. One of Halo Infinite's biggest issues right now is the content drought, and I'm sure Infection is going to be coming soon. That these maps look like dev maps without baked lighting, and certainly will look better in the final version or the beta version, but also all the remakes that are going to be coming to Halo Infinite that might just make their way into matchmaking, flourishing this game full of content that is almost dev quality everywhere. Although we've seen most of the features in this video, we do note that there are some improvements coming, including nav meshes, which is going to support bots and AI in our Forge maps. We also do have evidence that good Forge maps are going to be placed into Halo Infinite's matchmaking. But what really took me aback during this 20-minute video was that 343 has Forge Council members making unseen maps behind the scenes, including this one, and it is breathtaking. This map looks like it was made by the actual Slipspace engine dev tools. It is amazing, and I'm sure that this map, as well as many others, are coming to matchmaking, just like the other ones that we saw the other day. Sketch said on Twitter, yes, the Forge beta will release on November 8th as part of the winter update. Once launched, it'll stay live forever, evolving over time. This is not a limited time beta or an insider flight. It's Forge for all. We will all have access to this version of Forge, hopefully a little bit better, on time. We can all hope anyway. 343 did mention that there is this little UI menu that pops up that they are going to expand upon later, but these are really useful functions and possibilities that will be adding to the value of Forge and its creative possibilities. In addition, they showed this menu, which shows that we can build the lighting as well as nav meshes, audio, and reflection volumes. And these are all critical for making the maps look like actual dev maps. I think this is where a lot of the magic comes in. People are really being tested right now. We don't know whether we should be excited for this game or worried about this game, and I think both are appropriate. However, I want to say it's not black and white. Obviously, Forge is amazing. There's this cool feature called flattening where essentially you can scale in any direction. So if you like a certain model's textures, you can just flatten that into a 2D plane of sorts and slap that onto other flat models, so you have the textures there. We also see that scaling is massive. We have this look at the space canvas. We know that there's several coming, including this kind of flat alpine look. We also have this wetlands map. We have this, desert map coming, I think, and a blank canvas coming, which is this beautiful skybox that reminds me of Halo 3's sandbox. So, my gosh, is there so much to look forward to, but is it enough? For I think it is super important for 343 to launch this custom games browser alongside with Forge in the winter update on November 8th, because if that doesn't happen, a lot of this Forge momentum is going to wean and die off. I don't think forever, but it's really going to stifle the innovation, the momentum that is happening right now within the community. And if Forge doesn't launch in a workable state, then I think we are in major trouble, guys, for the future of this game. Artifice also has a bouncy pad. Really cool that custom equipment is a thing in Halo Infinite and that this is possible. Just proof more that everything we want in Halo Infinite is coming. And if it's not going to be made by 343, fine, we'll do it ourselves. This is new equipment that we're seeing in Halo Infinite made by a fan. And Really, our imagination is the limits here with Forge. Followers, history was just made. On the retail version, people are now playing Forge maps in custom games. I believe with people that do not have the Forge Flight files, this is retail version of the game. History has been made 9 months after release. Honestly, in a way, I really don't even care at this point. I just want to play with my friends. I want to get people that uninstalled this game to reinstall it because I sense that there is going to be a bit of a return because custom games are already, we already know, are going to be insane and wild. And this is kind of a confirmation that we can at least enjoy the maps to some extent that have already been made in Forge.
Oh no.
Paimon is at it again. He said that there was 3 videos coming. This is the 3rd. He recently made some mining construction equipment as well as a cobblestone house, and now there's this. This is really unique, really beautiful, and it shows off on how powerful Forge can be and how good it looks, especially compared to Halo 5's Forge, which already looked pretty good. But this is like selling of like dev quality map almost quality. I would say about within a 5% difference. Prefabs are likely going to be returning in Forge, and if you don't know what those are, they're basically going to be like a free workshop where you can download other people's assets that they made in Forge, like a building or a script, and you can just plop it instantly into your Forge map. So going to be really convenient, especially with people like Paimon out here creating some really unique and beautiful creations that will be easily imported into your maps or maybe fan favorite maps. And in another video by Artifice, he shows that any objects can be shot out of any weapon. And this was something that people were wondering if it was possible because I think him or someone else was shooting bots out of his gun. So the fact that we can shoot any objects kind of implies insanity for custom games. I mean, yeah, this is Halo 2's campaign Uprising.
People need to understand that Forge is just, there's still so much that is yet to be seen. And this is very early. I mean, I would imagine scenes like this will be significantly improved, although they're very cool because this is very reminiscent of what that level was. So,
have you seen this one? It's City 17 from Half-Life 2. It almost looks like,
I have not seen this one.
It almost looks like a mod from, like, someone put Halo Infinite into another game or something.
Dude, I love the way they did that shield door.
Yeah,
like that. That's super cool. And keep in mind, people are building this without the ability to actually save, which is crazy.
So if 343 actually is like gets discouraged, if developers get discouraged by all of our negative feedback, I mean, Forge team's got to be pretty amped up right now. There's another mission. This one looks better, and honestly, it looks better than the Uprising map. I can't even tell if this is a dev map or a Forge map.
What's interesting is that I can tell it's a Forge map just because of the detail, right? I'm not that. Hopefully, it doesn't come off rude, but like, it's very cool, and the lighting is sick. Like, especially like if you had, like I said, volumetric lighting, and then baked lighting. Like, if you could actually have correct lighting on this, it would be crazy.
I don't know what the story is behind this one, but apparently it was a COD map, a remake for Hidden Xperia. But the idea
this is just so sick.
The idea is that someone's got a box being opened, and then not only do the weapons float up, rotates through all these different weapons randomly, and then you can pick one.
I don't know if you could do this in Halo 5.
No, I don't think you can. This is going to change the infection forever.
This is like dude, look at that. That's the teddy bear from. That's so funny.
Whoa.
And then it blows up.
And then it changes location. Wow, I haven't seen this yet.
Dude, that's insane. I'm sorry, I haven't seen this either, but that is nuts.
They took the guardrails off. You can do anything.
Yeah, I built this in a stream in 2 hours, I think. This, apparently, everything that you see that's built out, which is like a ton of rocks, ton of debris, a ton of metal, like UNSC ship metal. You see all the assets that are laying around. This whole scene took up less than 5% of the budget.
Wow, that is...
Which I don't know if that's a bug.
That's really exciting.
Or if that's legit. Less than 5% to build is insane.
I don't know if you saw this one. Tower defense. I guess when you get close enough to a radius of sorts, this tower will pick up a fusion coil and throw it at you.
Dude, is that like a Guardian from
It's like a Guardian from
Sandtrap now.
Yeah, exactly. But like there's like what how the freaking hell did you code that? Like that's incredible, man. This is 94% of Halo Infinite's budget. Someone finally did it. They maxed out almost the Forge budget. And so for the first time, we actually see what the entire Forge budget can do. He spent 150 hours on this. There are just so many small details to look at. It honestly looks like this was created with modding tools, or it's like Gary's mod map, and I see some ways that it can be improved, but man, is this just so fun, man. I can just imagine playing Trouble in Terrorist Town with this, considering that we can script our own game modes like Infection and VIP and things like that, and I expect that most maps will not have this much detail. And oh my gosh, Bishu Talks has an update for us. He made a racetrack. This is his ongoing development of a Mario Kart racetrack in Halo Infinite, and he improved the banana power-up logic. He made a functional green shell as well. If you haven't seen the first video, he made it where essentially you can drop bananas, and then if you run over it, it'll spin your car out just like in the game. And well, now he has made it where you can pick up a green shell and fire it. And this honestly makes me excited to play racetrack maps in Halo Infinite. I always thought that they were a little bit dry, a little bit boring, but this kind of spices them up just enough to make them like a real racetrack Mario Kart experience. Cryptim created Reflection from Halo Reach, or aka Ivory Tower from Halo 2. I'm glad that I'm showing y'all this now, even though I'm a day or two late on it, because he actually went in and improved the reflections. It was a little bit too shiny, but he also toned down the orange lights to a soft yellow, and so this map honestly is starting to look really, really gorgeous. At a first glance, it looks like it could be from Halo Reach, and I'm sure there's still a lot he could improve on it, but right now, man, this is looking so much better, and I just love it. There's really nothing like this in Halo Infinite. A big complaint that I have with the map list that we have right now in the game is that they're all UNSC bases, which is boring. I want to see something new. Beautiful environments you can make, and also I just love the sounds. In Destiny 2, you can spawn a vehicle at will. So like in Elden Ring, you can spawn an animal right around the map. And now you can do it with an armor ability.
That's so cool, man. Dude, I don't know how people come up with this stuff.
And think about all the game modes made possible because of just this simple possibility here. I like this. You know what's really cool? These are probably going to be shared around entire communities. So you could just look at the node graphs and be like, oh, okay, I do that, put this there. Yeah, so someone made a Silent Hill map in Forge. And I think the reason why this stands out to me is that it doesn't look like a UNSC base or foreigner map or anything like that. It looks like the interior of like a hotel.
Like this right here.
Yeah.
That's really cool
Look at that
storytelling in
detail.
Forge. Yeah, that's fun.
Oh my
That's really
god.
Cool. Someone spent a lot of time just thinking about these little areas right here.
In my opinion, I don't know what you think, but I think this one looks the best out of everything I've ever seen.
They're high quality, or you can tell they will be by final release. And the way that this guy has set up, this guy or girl has set up just the scene itself it has a lot of storytelling elements, so they did a really good job.
So someone put scrap cannons, which is an unreleased weapon in Halo Infinite's multiplayer. It is in campaign, I believe, right? But you can just weld it to the Scorpion and have turrets that you can have players jump on it and just use it. And I'm excited about what this means for all kinds of different vehicles, and wonder what kind of wacky vehicles you can make, because in a way you can create your own vehicles in this game. Yeah, this one isn't mind-blowing, but it's still really cool. Someone created crates that have ammo when you destroy them, and I'm sure you can make that random. I mean, no doubt, by the way, guys, you can create Battle Royale now.
Oh, dude, the airstrike.
So here's an airstrike. Oh my gosh! I have not seen this. I have not seen
this. This is insane.
What the
That's pretty insane, I'm not gonna lie.
I wonder if it can shoot at the player or have some like accuracy issues, like just near it so the player can actually survive it, you know? So someone made a bubble box shield in Forge, and I think it's what you said, two-way, is by Red Nomster. This is a hyper-realistic room. As far as Forge goes, there is so much detail in this. It took him about 30 hours to create just this room, and this is the power of scaling in Forge. The ability to scale objects means that we pretty much have unlimited detail, a limited fidelity in models that otherwise would just be normal basic models in Forge, but now we can scale them down to look even better. And here, this is just really impressive work. He really thought about everything here. There's a detective on the couch. There's models scaled down to look like a toy saber, right? And the lighting, especially the desk. I mean, don't even get me started on the desk here in the beginning. I mean, there's just so much thought put into every single part of this desk, right? And hopefully things like this will become prefab so other people can download these models, so we can download these models and pop them into our Forge map without spending, I don't know, 6 hours on a single quote model here. Just plop them in our map and make a hyper-realistic map just like him here. So huge shout out to Red Knobster. Absolutely epic creation. Another thing I have to show y'all is Bishu Talks created Mario Kart in Halo Infinite. I'm speechless, dude. Like, look at this. He got a power up, he got bananas, and then he dropped it. And I guess we're going to see how it looks like when he runs into it. He spins out just like you would in Mario Kart. Oh my god. There it is, guys. Mario Kart was created in Halo and his Elite Falcon's Noble 6 cave. I actually asked him if he wanted to do Noble 6's cave in Forge, because I was thinking about doing it myself, but he went ahead and knocked it out really quickly, and I love this. It's based on the teaser, and I love the little details. I didn't tell him to add any of this. I was just like, hey, you should make the Noble 6 cave. So he added beautiful lighting into it. He added a Spartan with a cape and an energy sword and a gravity hammer, which is really cute, as well as a fire pit and just some communications device and boxes. And Infinite Forges, you are a level designer at Gearbox. You love level design a lot. You do it all the time. And your name is Infinite Forges. You've been waiting a long time for this. So I have to ask, what are you most excited for? Like, what are you looking forward to when this gets out to everyone?
I'm just stoked to see what people can do. But in terms of like being a level artist at Gearbox, just how immersive I can make something is what gets me so excited. And the fact that Forge has gotten to a point now where the line between dev-made maps and community creations are so thin or becoming thinner is a very, very exciting time.
People are bound to make amazing maps that you can't really tell the difference between dev and Forge. Do you think 343 is going to rotate these into matchmaking?
I think it'd be silly not to take advantage of the community's talents, you know, and put those on blast for the majority of the player base to experience.
Today, someone finally did it. They created Minecraft in Halo Infinite. Now, of course, this was done with Forge by Dan Bridley, and it is impressive. Maybe not the most technically impressive map or build we've seen so far, but I'm sure in some ways it is. I wonder how he was able to get these blocks all lined up so well. I mean, of course, with the magnets, but still, like, he got all the dimensions correct on this, and it's just really cool. I love how it looks like it's inside Minecraft. All the details are there. Obviously, a Minecraft fan made this. And I don't know how he did the water, but I love the farm here, and I love how high quality the textures are. I gotta say that is one thing with Forge that really stood out to me versus Halo 5's Forge, is how high quality the textures are when I've been playing around with it, this exploit version of it. And ultimately, we've seen tree chopping and collecting of wood and water collecting recently on Forge, so you can essentially recreate Minecraft. And I wonder if you could create maybe a weapon to chop away blocks and to collect blocks and keep an inventory of sorts. So, I mean, you can essentially, if you have the time and talent, create Minecraft in Halo Infinite, and I can't imagine all the fun game modes that are going to be here. And my gosh, just playing on this map, even just as Slayer, would be really interesting and new for Halo gameplay. So I love how Dan was actually able to get the door to be able to be opened like in Minecraft. It's such a simple feature, but still, it's really, I love the attention to detail here. And I love the torches too. He nailed the torches. Dan did say that this is still a work in progress, so hopefully he saved it and we will be able to see future updates on it. But currently they were losing energy on building it. And honestly, this looks pretty complete to me. And when Forge drops, I can't wait to see how big these Minecraft maps can get, because I have to imagine it doesn't take much of the budget to make a lot of these blocks and to spam them around the map. And I have to imagine maybe the energy sword or gravity hammer will be possible to maybe mine away these blocks so you can use them to build stuff and store, well, resources like in Minecraft. Maybe that's a little bit far-fetched, but honestly, I could see it being possible in Halo Infinite. It really should be, from what I know. I also wanted to share this build real quick. pretty hilarious. Lunacy wanted to see how many bananas that he could place in Halo Infinite's Forge, and he said he would get about 900 crates before the build would crash. Welcome back, Halo followers. Recently, I created the back rooms in Halo Infinite's Forge. This was super fun. I love liminal spaces, and I love the creepypasta behind the back rooms. If you don't know what it is, look it up. Viewer discretion advised. It is creepy, creepy, creepy. So this actually made me think, what if every time someone plays one of my back rooms maps, that it spawns differently? Like every time, because it's such a procedurally kind of generated space, or at least can be, I wonder how many possibilities of these rooms could be different, you know, every time you start a new round on, let's say, an infection game type. And that got me to the Backrooms Experience game mode that I plan to make in September. Next month, Forge Beta drops, so we can all play this. It's going to be super, super fun. Let me tell you all about it, okay? If you have feedback, let me know down in the comment section below. Here's how it plays. 20 players spawn in the middle of the map. It is their mission to find 3 buttons and press them to open the exit door within 3 minutes. Otherwise, the entire level will be gassed. They need to make it through 3 levels in order to win the game. They have 3 minutes to find 3 buttons that will be randomly spawning throughout each level. On each new round, there will be many, many, many rooms that will become off limits or available. And those rooms will have sub-rooms attached to other huge complexes a part of the map. So the idea is that the replayability will be insanely high. This was just me messing around in Forge, but the map is going to be far larger than this, and I want to get the balancing right. So depending on the amount of players in the lobby, maybe a certain amount of rooms will add and subtract each other, do some math in the scripting, and come up with a good size depending on the lobby size. And these sub-rooms may even connect with each other and become available. That essentially means that every new round is going to be maybe easier or wildly harder than the last. System that you can do with the node graph editor. You can make classic maps from Halo 3. You can even make campaign missions. You can add so many particles. Maps can be massive. The sandbox size or budget is just absolutely insanely large, right? So there is an exploit that is allowing people to actually get into Forge and play around with it. Even content creators like Infinite Forges have been creating maps. Now, I've heard that you can't save these or they won't be available in the final beta, which we will see sometime in September. At least that's the last time we heard it's a target. But my good friend Infinite Forges created this map, which is Doom-based, all in Halo Infinite's Forge on Breaker, right? I mean, it's just absolutely insane. There's also this map that he altered on Fragmentation, I believe, and it's just this can be an infection map, he said, just to look at what's possible here. He also built this map on Fragmentation, and boy, is it beautiful. I mean, there are just so many options and abilities in Halo Infinite's Forge, not to mention scaling, a scaling feature where you can change the size of any object, stretching it in any dimension that you want. Really does give the freedom that we've always wanted in Forge. There's also a feature in Halo Infinite's Forge that is the node graph editor, which we've never had before, that allows for really intense scripting. For example, when you shoot a little perk machine, you get all kinds of attributes applied to your player. Someone remade a Modern Warfare map, and boy does it look clean. And this is before baked lighting, so we really have no idea how good the lighting is going to look, but honestly, this is equivalent to Halo 5's Forge, and it's baked lighting, and it hasn't even been baked yet, so the lighting is probably going to look way, way better, and I'm really excited for that. I mean, it might be a whole rendering process, but that excites me. This person created something called Origins, and you can actually find the links for all these maps and demonstrations and videos down in the description below. I've left all of my sources, all the videos that I'm showing off here, but look at this, man. This looks absolutely beautiful. I mean, at a first glance, this looks like a dev map, right? Of course, the Foreigner stuff looks a little out of place here, and the baked lighting could be a bit better, but that's not here yet, you know? So I really wonder how that's going to end up looking. There's also someone making the pit from Halo 3. Now, this is just beautiful, right? So much possibilities here. I mean, infinite possibilities. This is exactly what we've wanted as a community. Unfortunately, the map is a bit unfinished here, and I think as far as feedback goes, I think it could use a little bit more color, like the original pit is a little bit too gray. But this is Halo 2's Headlong, which we also saw in Reach, and it actually looks pretty damn good. You know, maybe you could say it's not a dev map, but in the time lapse is something that really blows me away. We see that there's a model called unsee Road, which is going to be great for, well, exactly this kind of setup when you're creating Forge maps. And the scaling option allows for all kinds of possibilities. I mean, look at this. You can size moving trees, and then you can just duplicate them and undo it and redo it if, you know, since those are new features coming to Forge 2. And another content creator, Footed Ghost, actually did this demonstration where when in Forge, he actually realized that there was all kinds of different areas that have been already mapped out by 343, accessible areas that you can only access in Forge. So if you delete the vents, it opens up entirely new areas on maps that we have been playing this entire time, which are going to be great for infection, for spawning areas. Enclosed tree, this is one of my favorite demonstrations. It shows the power of scaling objects such as the tree there, and the lighting. Look at the lighting on the terrain. Of course, this map could use a bit more detail, and we do see maps with a lot more detail like grass and little bushes and branches and things like that. That does look at a glance like it is right from the campaign map itself. I believe Paimon here is actually trying to create prefab, something that we will be able to see in the final version of Forge. Now, I'm hearing that right now it is possible to save Forge creations. I don't know if they're going to work in the final version of the game, but at least these guys can keep working on their beautiful creations and kind of really fully experiment with the tools. And what he's been able to make here, or she's been able to make here, is a really high quality looking models, right? These are, of course, built with in-game blocks, and they're tilted and textured correctly, and also the prefab workshop. Just like in Halo 5, I believe that there's going to be prefabs available in Halo 5's Forge, where we will be able to search things and download models, quote models, or people's scripts and stuff like that, and easily be able to import them right there on the spot in Forge, just like Halo 5's did. And it's such a revolutionary feature, and I really hope that it returns. But now there's going to be 3 videos that he shares, he said, in one of the descriptions, but this is the second video that he shows us, and it's like a cobblestone house, like a European style house, and it's so freaking convincing and cool. It's got to be one of the coolest things I've seen in Forge so far, right up to those other Forge objects that he created. But this one, I mean, it's an actual building, and I'm sure that he could actually make it where you could go inside if he really wanted to. And the assets available to us in Forge make things like this possible, right? You can make your own whole villages. Keep in mind, at the end of this video, he has a 5% budget. So if you take those other models that we saw first, as well as this house, and times it by 20, that's how big the budget is in Halo Infinite, at least on Behemoth and not the blank canvas. Hopefully we get more on the blank canvas, but some very professional done work here. I love the wood, I love the stone, I love all the texture work. It really goes to show that Forge can look mind-blowing. Dan Bridley Art is working on a Pit remake, and he says that this is only 10% of the budget, right? There's a lot of room to make things good. Infinite Forge has suggested on Twitter if he could, you know, maybe clean it up a little bit. But yeah, there's not really a whole lot of detail or finalization in this, and I'm really excited to see how it ends up looking. But these Forge objects, like I talked about in my review, they're so high fidelity, it really would not be hard to make this map look good. This is something we might expect in Halo Reach, Halo 4, Halo 5's Forge, where it looks kind of eh. There are so many high fidelity models made specifically with Forge and for Forgers in mind by 343 that this map will look legit, and I want to keep a tab on it. So look at it right now, notice the quality right now. It's nothing to be too excited about, but as this map is developed, I'm going to be covering it because I think the scaling is perfect. All he needs now is some detail. Artifice created a companion bot in Halo Infinite's Forge. This, I don't, I don't even know what to say about this one. This is just incredible. I guess the bot is just going to follow you around, cover you, and maybe shoot other players that are not your friend. He's just going to have your back. This bot's just going to follow you around. It looks like he keeps getting lost, but if he gets too far, he teleports back to you. And he jumps in your turret right away. He's just got your back. Artifice also created a gun that fires bots, which makes me think potentially, are we going to be able to fire models, and what kind of implications does this have and possibilities could this, open up for Forge and custom games? I mean, there's so many things you can do with this, and if we're going to be able to spawn bots or press buttons to spawn bots, I mean, really, there is so much potential here. I just want to see AI like Banished AI, Jackals, and Elites, and so on. That's really the only thing Forge needs at this point. Zmods is back at it again with some crazy concepts. This time, it is the Blender. Now, I have to say, I was thinking about this personally when I saw his black hole and white hole weapon. I was like, well, what happens if you get, like, I don't know, some kind of wind effects that spins around and, like, maybe a Blender kind of thing? Maybe this could be an entire game mode. Maybe objects could get more and more hectic, and you have to knock other players with gravity hammers into objects and, kind of like Battle Royale. Who's the last one standing in this? And just some food for thought. It seems like there's a lot of custom game possibilities where you don't even need other players, like Red Light, Green Light from Squid Games, and this. There is just, and also think about bots too. You can play custom games with bots if you code them the right way. I can confirm that I did see that when I was looking at Forge, playing Forge myself in this recent co-op build, that there is nav meshes that will help bots understand Forge objects and your Forge games, and maybe there will even be ways to understand objectives and influence bots in a certain way on certain parts of the map or on modes in general, so they can play along with custom games. Bishu Talks created a rather intense obstacle course where you need to know all the advanced movements in Halo Infinite's movement system. And you actually have to shoot these brutes for the next platforms to spawn, so you have to like be shooting in mid-air, and I think it's really cool. I think it's clever. We saw some of these in Halo 5, and I would really like to see them evolve even more. Artifice is definitely one of the cutting edges of the Forge node system right now, in which here is a loadout concept. When he shoots one of these objects, it changes his entire loadout, which really is very incredible. I really advanced stuff. Maybe it isn't too much, but I would love to see this as a prefab so people that don't know how to do this can easily implement it in their Forge maps. We have one by Bishu Talks here. He creates, he says, a sloppy but functional node graph script that will essentially allow him to do a airstrike. This is really cool. It doesn't look super great right now because it's just a mongoose flying through the sky, but maybe you can imagine the possibilities here. I've already shown this video to y'all by Serasia, but it really does show how seamless terrain blends in with existing dev maps and how many options you have to make it look like. We would be none the wiser, honestly, if someone made some minor adjustments to the terrain on Livefire. By Duquesne23, he's really into racetrack maps in Forge, and so it's only fitting that he would make a racetrack map in the Forge League version, right? And this thing is freaking beautiful. Why I think it really stands out is that you can't really tell that this is Behemoth anymore besides the structure here. The terrain is absolutely gorgeous, and I'm honestly more impressed by the terrain editing and what he's been able to do with the terrain than I am the Forge track. I'm sure the Forge track is really fun, and I like how it blends in with the Foreigner structure here on Behemoth. With Infinite Forges, this guy always has incredible content. He's a good friend of mine, and I am just so impressed every time he makes something. This is a Foreigner cave. It's just something nice to look at right now. I'm sure in the final game he's going to create some epic Forge maps, things that look like they are from dev maps, and I know, I say it in every video, but this is before the final lighting, so I'm very excited to see how this all ends up looking in the final version of Forge in September. Dan Bridley made something truly unique. He created a large atmospheric forest. This looks better than some parts in Halo Infinite's campaign. I can't believe I'm saying it, that Forge is that outstanding. This is a Star Wars indoor build, and this is just incredible. Not only are the ATSTs looking just fantastic, I just love the entire environment that this is made inside of, and it's just so beautiful, and it's so rich with greenery. I have to wonder what amount of budget this is. From my own experience, I'd have to say this is probably like 2-3% of the budget, because Forge's budget is insanely high. Oh my gosh, he even built a bunker. That is incredibly cute. I love it. This is awesome. Now, this is quite amazing. Bishu Talks created a script where a wasp can pick up any object and drop it off anywhere. I have to say, I love that 343 Industries is promoting this kind of stuff, that they are happy and excited about the fans getting their hands on Forge tools, even if it's through an exploit, and playing with it. They are getting the groundwork done here, Bishu Talks and other people that are just trying out the Forge noting system, seeing what's possible, what isn't, and just pushing it. And it really does seem at this point that there really are no boundaries, and there are more incredible things I want to show y'all here, including a working tower defense game. It is freaking nuts, but you can only imagine all the different game modes, custom games that people are going to have fun with. Just the fact that this is possible, and all the other things we've seen so in combination are possible. It's going to be insane. It's insane. It's like Gary's mod. Red Nomster, I want to take a quick look at his creation. He created a realistic window. Now, this took 5 hours to do, but you can only imagine the amount of work that went into this, adding all these very small, tiny pieces, playing with the scaling tools to get it all right. And I love the detail in the lampshade, and the lighting is breaking up on these objects really well. It looks really good. I love the fog busting through the blinds. He even has like a little blind thing that you can pull down, you know, for the shades. And I just love the background too. Just, oh my gosh, this is so interesting. It took a long time, but if you want to do it, you can do it with Forge. Now, this is another thing that Bishu Talks managed to do. He created a Call of Duty Zombies repair door mode. Now, this is really impressive because it spawns, it drops an animation, you repair them individually. This is going to be great. And he actually showcases here in just a moment where right now the bot nav system it's not working right now just because this is an exploit version of Forge. Hopefully it comes in the beta, but eventually, players and bots alike will understand what to do here. They'll break down the doors. Maybe just walking near it will bust them down, but probably break them down will be more fun and interactive. We know that reward systems are already possible in Forge 2, so combining these two possibilities, you can basically recreate Call of Duty Zombies in a simple form, but considering how advanced the Forge node system is, well, you can pretty much do anything you want here. It's pretty insane. You got the time, you got the talent, you can do it. And certainly it's going to take some talent, but the great thing is that there's people with talent that are sharing their graphs here, so you can replicate it entirely. Hopefully there will be prefabs, so you can just simply one-click in-game, bring it into Forge right there, and then just like Halo 5, and start playing around with the script or object or prefab, whatever it is, yourself. I love all the possibilities for sharing with people, sharing with friends. Hopefully there is a custom browser. I know some people have been talking about that recently. There needs to be a custom browser. What's the point of all this if you can't play with your friends and you can't create and share easily, right? And I think it will be, hopefully 343 knows that if they don't release that on launch day with Forge Beta, then it's going to really stunt the growth of all this, and I don't want to see that happen again with Halo Infinite. Now, this is wild. Saintly Demonic created a tower defense mode. If you don't know what that is, it's basically where enemies will go through a path and you have to set up towers to strike them down. As with the more enemies you kill, the more towers you're going to be able to build. And what we see here is a prototype where a player basically placed down a tower and it's shooting at the enemies and it's destroying them, right? And the bigger ball is going to be more powerful. It takes, I guess, 2 hits there. And he says that, or she says that they had a save that kept corrupting, which had them loading backups over and over again. So rather fight for a week, they just wanted to share what they were able to come up with. So this system could be way more advanced. It seems to really be pushing the node system to its limits, but the fact that it's working here, I think, shows a lot of promise and potential, and hopefully 343 spends a lot more time on the no graph system and making sure that things like this can be functional and possible with 24 players in a lobby, because I don't know how it's all going to work, but this is really neat. My mind is blown. I don't even know what to say. This is a working tower defense game in Halo. It's not even Halo anymore. It's a tower defense game. And you can only imagine all these different things that we've been looking at for the past couple weeks, guys. They can all be possible in the same game. I mean, you can do anything you want here, and I know the community's going to go nuts because they're going nuts right now. They're going absolutely nuts right now. This should not be possible in Halo, but here we are. They're pushing it to the absolute limits, and playing this with your friends might be really fun. Oh man, we got a lot from Bishu Talks today. So he made a speed run. Now this is very unique. Basically, this big guy's it makes me think of Donkey Kong. So you can pretty much see the mode. You got to get up here as fast as possible using the repulsor to repulse basically objects that would totally kill you, while jumping back and forth between these moving platforms to get to the top. So this could be a really fun obstacle course kind of feature, and man, does it look difficult. I would want to try this. It looks maybe like you could do it, but I bet it's a lot harder than it looks, because it seems like he knows what he's doing here. It's a lot of stuff going on. Now this one's pretty cool, from Saintly Demonic again. So essentially what they created was a Simon Says mode, where there's this set of blocks, and whichever color it disappears into, and the only one that's left is the one that you should be on, and if you're not on it, you are going to fall to your doom. So it's a very simple game mode, but it could be fun with a large lobby for sure. Derek creates, he already created like a chopping down trees and collecting wood script in Forge. Now he basically had an empty bottle that if you push it into this water area, it'll actually create a sound of water, it'll collect water, and then if you push it back into this zone, which previously said 0, it now says 100 units of water. So you can collect water in Halo Infinite. I don't know what else I need to say, guys. This is stupid insane. They talked about campaign AI coming into Forge. They talked about water, about matchmaking, a Forge playlist that highlights the best Forge maps in game modes, and why internally and externally this is being referred as a game engine and not a map editor. So to begin with the first question, will 343 be adding community maps into matchmaking regularly? How easy or difficult is that to do? Well, firstly, they say, we want to do that as soon as possible, but it takes a bit of time. And you know when 343 says that, it's going to take some time. 343 needs to identify that content, if it works with matchmaking and their functional requirements, like works as expected, performs well, etc. But they do have plans for a Forge playlist that highlights only community created content. When does the pit hit matchmaking? That's going to come before the end of the year. There's also other official legacy map remakes, but they say that they have no expectation of shortage of awesome throwback community creations. And also, when do you think 343 you'll consider Forge is out of beta? Well, that's going to take some time as well. They say that they have a lot of polish and bug fixing to do, so expect some bugs in the Forge beta. But there's also some to do, some work that just missed the November 8th Forge launch that they would like to add before, you know, removing the beta tag. So that does make me worry, but we do know that there is going to be 6 canvases, so I'm really looking forward to that. Some fidelity improvements compared to the pre-release version. So any ideas on implementing an import geo type thing into Halo Infinite? So we could create custom game assets in Maya or Blender or whatever. Well, there are some content moderation limitations, they say, and challenges officially supporting this type of content. Hopefully they allow us to somehow at least, you know, give the responsibility to us to you know, that we're following the guidelines there of what they're officially and legally allowed to say and do, so they don't get in trouble, but they are listening to modders. And also, there is this whole permission system where you can actually copy protection your maps, so people can't just copy your map, add one block, and say that's their map now with them as credits. There's a lot of thought put into file management. It's kind of boring, but if you're into that, it's really cool. So yeah, there is quite a lot of thought put into this system. Will there be any basic tutorials on how Forge will work? And will that happen through the Academy? They say basically a long form of no, but there is Forge fundamental videos. Is it possible to add campaign AI in Forge, and are y'all working on it? They say it's possible, and we are working on how to best bring those features from our internal tools into Forge at a later date. They recently said at the Halo World Championship that it is top of mind. They say we see a lot of potential in allowing players to create experiences that lean into cooperative and PvE space. Think Firefight, right? Good news is that with the addition of NavMesh and the support of AI-controlled bots, they've already got a head start on that, right? We're not announcing anything today, they say, but that is long-led work. is definitely an opportunity we're interested in and excited to pursue. So 343 saying some really good things there that has me excited. Will custom games modes made using Forge's new visual scripting be able to be shared independently from the maps that they were created on as custom game modes? At launch, any mode logic created to use the no graph will be contained within the map. So if you want to use infection with the infection prefab that someone scripted, you're going to have to plop that into your map right now. But eventually, longer term, they have plans to allow mode makers to create custom modes using the no graph and then share them like game modes that you can upload to the file share system or the custom browser that is separate from the map that's independent. So you don't need to embed any logic node graph system into any map. You can just click a game mode. So this is it's kind of weird, but it's actually going to serve us in the long term, because essentially we can script completely original new game modes. Think escort modes like from Overwatch. Think, you know, I don't know, hero shooters, right? You can script anything you want. This is a game engine in of itself. It's not a map editor anymore, right? How can I download maps from other people? Right now, on November 8th, all they're doing is the file share system, as you can see here. And what sucks about that is that it's going to be hard to find games. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of support on Discord. There's a lot of great groups out there, which I can actually talk about later on a later date. But right now, there's just a file share system. They say that there is a recommended tab, which is going to show off popular maps, modes, and prefabs. And then also 343 has a place where, you know, they're going to feature stuff that they think is cool, like I think recommended. And then there's a popular maps, popular modes based on downloads and, you know, participation in these modes. But in season 3, that's when the custom games browser is coming. We also have a question: will you be looking at taking submissions for maps to be added to the HCS rotation? That's a yes. Will we see the custom games browser? That'll be on season 3, March 7th. Until then, you can find, bookmark, and play custom games on maps and modes that you find in the content browser or by looking at an individual files. Right now, you're just going to have to join the Forge Customs on the official Halo Discord and Halo Waypoint forums to send up a flare, which is annoying and sucks and is not efficient. But I think that there is actually some scripted application up there for PC that you can actually use as a custom games browser. So I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be effective, but there is 8 players that can forge together in an active co-forging session, which is awesome. Now, we do have a huge kind of worry here. I don't have any clarification on it, and I'll just skip ahead because I'm already talking about it. They say, you say you'll add more features once Forge is released. What features do you plan on adding later? And they say, editing on dev maps, mini game mode, and AI spawning tools. So there's no real clarification on this. I haven't been able to see anything, but it seems that you cannot actually use Forge on the existing dev maps, which is problematic for many reasons. I don't know if that means all the exploit version of Forge maps are just not going to be functionable in the Forge beta anymore, and you can't edit those. Like, those are going to have to be modded in another way to play on exclusively through the pre-release version, which is fine in a way, but not being able to forge on dev maps seems like a really weird limitation. And I don't know, it seems like a really, I don't know, but AI spawning tools, that sounds really cool, that 343 is really focused on. So at least there's that, and mini game mode, which is mini game mode. So I'm pretty interested to see what that is all about. Will there ever be banished and covenant structures and objects like foreigner and human pieces, right, that we already have? Well, they say we are currently adding more objects to the foreigner object set, and then we will be moving on to created the banished palette. Other design palettes like Flood and Covenant are top of mind, but they have not finalized plans for that, so they haven't even got plans done. Right now, they are already moving on to Banished palette right after Foreigner stuff, so that is definitely coming. Flood and Covenant are kind of back burner, it seems. But yeah, can you create custom power-ups? This is really cool. So you can place custom power-ups in Halo Infinite's Forge, and in the no graph, you can hook any scripts up to that. So you can give them custom equipment. You can apply a certain trait like boost speeds and reload times. Think Battle Royale, right? or they could refill 50% of the player's ammo. Players could use fusion coils fall from the sky at a point 20 feet in front of where the player is looking. I mean, the sky is the limit, as they say. You can do really anything you want. And here's like a little picture showing off what it will look like. So yeah, once Forge is released, they're going to be focusing on editing on dev maps, which is weird, minigame, game mode, and AI spawning tools. And if possible, can we get more info on how it'll look when I download a map from someone and when they update it later? Would it download the changes automatically as an update, or do I need to manually download the new version? Well, if you bookmark a map, they say, you are bookmarking that map asset. If the player updates and publishes the map at a later date, the bookmark will point at the newest published version. So it seems that they just confirmed that whenever you download a map and the publisher maybe adds a few new spawns, fixes some kind of exploit in the map, it will automatically update next time you load that up. It'll just automatically go to your file share. I think that's, or to your console or PC or whatever. It'll just update the map automatically. Prefabs do not work the same way. Obviously, that would be chaos if it did. It'll be treated as a new asset, so prefabs are not updated, which is a good thing. Will the maps we create during the Forge beta carry over when it leaves the beta state? We already knew about this, but yes, they will. Beta is not going to scrap your maps. Everything will move forward. It is a deal breaker for them. They are not allowing that to happen. When are the team's future plans for audio features in Forge? Well, they say we have already employed a simplified version of the acoustic system, which they already showcased, which is pretty insane. Improvements in this area are in the works for a future update. They were talking about ability to trigger voiceover lines and actual raw dialogue and lines from the campaign. There's no current plans, but they do know it's something that would be cool, and it's on our wish list, so that's probably not coming for a good long time. Do you plan to add water features at some point? They say yes. We are currently discussing the best way to bring placeable water into Forge, which is gonna be freaking nuts. I'm excited for that. I noticed you refer to Forge as a game engine rather than a map editor. And they say from the start, our goal was to create a version of Forge that was as close to the possible to our internal tools. And obviously that's probably something that they wanted to really just make feel like they're kind of dev tools, but accessible for people to use, because the dev tools are certainly way more complicated and probably way crashier and work different. But this is now a game engine, guys. It's not a map editor. Think of it more like that. Welcome back, Halo followers. Today I got another Forge showcase here for you guys. In celebration of Forge releasing in the beta on Halo Infinite, I thought I'd show off some really unique creations created in the pre-release version. So the first thing I want to show is Beaver Creek. This is by Unique. He's created some really great stuff like Guardian and High Ground from Halo 3, and he even created this map as well as Blood Gulch, which I will show in a moment. But, we already know 343 is making a community-featured Forge playlist at some point. And if 343 is watching, I definitely nominate this guy. This guy has some really great remakes already in the pre-release version. It was confirmed that we can't actually forge on dev maps, but rather just the canvases. So I don't know if that makes all of Unique's maps so far obsolete or how you can actually play them. But regardless, I'm just excited for everyone finally to get their hands on the beta to make some really fun remakes. This is also a really fun clip. Unique hosted a game where everyone was playing on a Blood Gulch remake. So this is looking pretty good, pretty nice. I can't wait to see what everyone does with this, and I'm so excited for vehicles to be at spawn, by the way. That's just something that has not been there with Halo Infinite, and I think it's a lot of untapped potential in this game. So I'm really hyped to see these big team battle maps. In fact, that's what I'm going to be working on first myself. Now, this one I showed in a news video before, but still, I have to show it again because this is just phenomenal. Someone created a working AI boss, right? And so we already know that 343 is planning on bringing campaign AI to Halo Infinite's Forge at some point. We know that it has mod support and that it's procedurally generated. And how you create bots working in your game is very simple, actually. It figures out the meshes and where your stuff is, and you can create anti-nodes. There's just everything that 343's already thought of everything. So on top of all that, you can create scripts that have phases that have boss battle phases and that will shoot things at you, that will aim at the player, that will adjust to the player's actions. So playing this with your friends, playing this with bots and AI, I mean, you can think of things like your own campaign maps are going to be possible in the near future, as well as your own firefight experiences. People have created Call of Duty Zombies, right? Bots breaking down barriers and coming after you and actually getting you. I mean, the concepts here are going to be able to be transferred over. Even if the maps aren't going to be able to, people already figured out the coding system, the node system, and know what to do immediately, I'm sure, when the beta drops and where to plug those values into. So seeing things like this is really clever, very unique, and I am, oh my god, I am so excited. GB Klin on Twitter created a working elephant. Now, I hope in the future he gets the dimensions a little bit more on dot, because it does look a little bit small, but still, this is amazing because he got this functioning like a real elephant. Now, of course, it's a little bit buggy, it's a little bit glitchy, because, this thing's been made in Forge, but I honestly believe that this is just the beginning of many things to come. This looks like a prototype of sorts, and think about all the different kinds of vehicles, mind you, by the way, that you can make with this. Not just the elephant, but think the mammoth, think, airships that you can run around inside of, think of space battles and hangars, and there's just so many things you can do here. It's just really exciting to think about. Now, this is the most recent creation by Karmaplex. He's created some really cool things we featured before, but look at this. I mean, this shot right here is just magnificent. Look at those tarps. Look at the fidelity of these models. I mean, as 343 said themselves, this is the closest we've ever been to actually having internal dev tools, because they've basically streamlined it into a little feature called Forge, and all this is accessible. There's just so many features and functions that make all this possible, and he made this a snow map, which are very welcomed. I would hope at some point that 343 has additional support for snow maps, because there's just not even snow trees in the game right now, and all the snow particles and objects could look a little bit better. Now, I thought I'd show off this one again. I already made a whole video featuring it, but this is by Red Nomster, the guy that created the Toy Story map. He created a working arcade game in Halo Infinite, a 2D side-scroller where you can jump and shoot and press buttons, and all while you're just standing there in front of the arcade game in Halo Infinite. So he said that in the future, in the beta, you can actually create a whole room of different kinds of games that I think he has planned. So yeah, you can create, I don't know, it's just such a weird thing. This is amazing. Now, at some point, like a month or two ago, people figured out how to play their pre-release Forge exploit maps in the retail version of Halo Infinite. And here we see an example of this in the chaos that will ensue in custom game. Now, 343 recently said on a Waypoint post that they are tackling vehicle desync. It seemed like what they were most confident about compared to all the different desyncs. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to race maps now. I'm pretty, I'm excited for any desync to be gone, especially in custom games and stuff. VidGames Peak created this cool script that had these boulders moving back and forth, and when you get crushed by them, you don't actually die, you just get slowed down, which will be crucial in race maps. But, throw this in together with like the banana script where you can pick up bananas and then drop it by pressing the ping button. And then also the green eggshell that you can fire at other warthogs. I mean, I'm just excited for all the awesome experiences, and this is just the beginning. This is before Forge even released officially. And while we're on the topic of race maps, this person created MK Bowser's Castle inspired race map. It looks pretty moderate, pretty difficult kind of at some areas, but yeah, I mean, just imagine playing with your friends. It's going to be absolute nuts on this map, especially with, again, the green eggshell, the bananas, and all that on Mongoose. It's going to be a blast. Now, I am so excited for big team battle maps. I don't think 343 made them in quite the right way that at least I would have created them. So I'm really excited for the opportunity to make some maps and see other people make maps that are a little bit more in line what I think is what with a classic big team battle map in Halo Infinite, and to see how the sandbox reflects that. So VidGames Peak here, I think everything we're seeing here is created from the ground up. I think all the objects, all the models that you see pretty much have been created in Forge. So a lot of vegetation, a lot of trees, just a lot of cool little areas and nooks that you can go on. And another thing that he created was zip lines, and that's what this map is called actually. And the cool thing about this is that you can go up to it, press X to activate, and you can just zip line down this thing. And you know, from what we know, especially with Red Knobster's Toy Story map, is that these scripts, at least in the pre-release version, are very stable. They work every single time. There's not really variables unless you want there to be variables, so it's a very stable scripting system. And he just created these zip lines all around the map, which is just really fun, really cool, and again, just the beginning of things to come, you know? Anyways, guys, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to smash that like button blue. Sorry for any little editing errors. I just switched to new software for the first time in like 14, 16 something years, so apologies for that. Still learning the ropes, but also, if you're wondering, gonna get a new microphone soon as well, for the first time in many years as well. I'll catch you guys in the next one soon. And I'm freaking excited for Forge, man. My God.